beautiful people. My name's Lovo, and welcome to AfroGirl Speaks. Today's live chat discussion is going to be based off of the power of being intentional. As I embrace this last month of December in 2024, and I scan over all the things that took place throughout this year, in my business, in my health, in my relationships. There are so many different changes and things and pivots I had to make. And I know moving forward into 2025, I have to be very intentional about things that I need to do, goals I need to set, and action steps that I need to make to afford me to accomplish these goals. So the reason I'm having this discussion is because a lot of times people feel like they have to wait till the intro of a new year to start planning and being strategic. So for me to take on and really start applying the principle of being intentional, I decided to give myself a 90-day assignment. Okay, so the next 90 days, it's going to be me developing pretty much goals and action points that I need to obtain on a daily and weekly basis. And I'm going to keep track of them so that I can afford myself the opportunity to actually make real intentional moves in my personal life, in my relational life, in my financial life, in my business, in things that I'm actively working on and doing, in skill. So the power of being intentional is very essential. You may say, okay, how does it correlate? Because you're talking about goals, but then you're telling us about the power of being intentional. I'm a Christian woman. So when I hear the Bible verse, faith without works is dead. That is a true statement. Whether you believe in Christ Jesus or not, faith, believing you can do something without true action behind it, means nothing. Writing a set of goals without an action plan to execute it means nothing. I always say goals are still a piece of paper until you start to apply action to it. You can list a whole bunch of things, but unless you start actively figuring out how to execute them, they mean nothing. So the power of being intentional is actually formulating a plan, rules, guidelines on how you plan on tackling, whether it's a month, whether it's the 3-month goal, whether it's the 1-year goal, whether it's the 5-year goal. But because of the transition into the new year, I decided to embark on the journey of the 90-day goal. So we're starting off December, and I thought it would be fitting to go ahead and go hard in starting what I need to start now in December and transitioning and seeing where I am by February, or even a little over into March. And that's imperative for me, at least, because it prepares me and gets me started instead of waiting for a new year to appear to be started. So one of the reasons and why I'm embarking on this journey, and it might be helpful to you, is as I stated, I have my own business and I work in the field of field inspection. I'm a contractor for insurance companies to essentially be able to inspect residential and commercial properties on behalf of companies that have contracts with insurance companies. And based off of my completion of these assignments, I get compensated. And I have contracts in place with about 4 to 5 different companies. And I also have my notarial license, so I can also do notary services as well. But that part of my business I haven't been very active in. So my goal, part of my 90-day transformation, is to get my notarial services in active mode so it can be active part of my business model. And so, particularly the remote online component referred to as RON, remote online notarial services. So, that's one of my active goals, business wise. Then I look at my personal. So, some of my personal, we all look at health, and I always say health is wealth. And I think when people think of health, you only think of the physical, but for health for me is mental, physical, spiritual. So making sure all three chambers are in check. That because I feel like if you're not mentally healthy, spiritually sound, and physically together, that is a walking train wreck waiting to happen. Because any one of those being off par can impact the quality of your life, can impact your interactions with others, and can impact how much energy and effort you are able to contribute to something. So you want to be mentally sound, physically together, and spiritually together. So for me, as I mentioned before, I'm a Christian woman. So getting into my word, prayer, devotion, time for devotion, starting my day with it, praying throughout the day in different instances, is part of how I bring wholeness to my spiritual component. The other component is mental. It's very important to always be active in learning something. So for me, part of feeding my mental component is actually working on new skills and things that'll be beneficial to me, expanding my knowledge in my industry, in day-to-day practices, in my business, and also making application of different things that I learn. The other part is physical, health-wise. The type of job that I have keeps me active, but also foods that I eat, when I eat. I still have some weight loss goals because I see that I'm gaining a little bit of weight this past holiday season, but nonetheless, I'm still proactive in getting to healthy weight sizes. I'm closer than I've ever been, but still not fully where I desire to be with that. And then transitioning into, so those are some of the personal components when I talk about physical health, mental, physical, spiritual. It's three folds for me on that when it comes to personal. Another personal one is, it's personal and business related, is getting real direct and really structured in the area of my finances. It's an area that I've battled with for so long because, you can't progress past where you are if you don't know where you are. And I really had to own that this year. And so getting processes and procedures in place that afford me to be able to be more structured with my finances is imperative. So I purchased some spreadsheets, and I also have books and resources to help me with that. So when I talk about you being intentional, you need to be able to find resources. If you're an avid reader, find books that speak to your situation. If you're not an avid reader, I'm an aspiring avid reader. I'm not there yet. Part of the goal, right? So I'm going to find some books that I'm going to include in the equation of increasing my proficiency in reading. But because I'm not an avid reader, I'm one of those people that leverages YouTube University. I leverage a lot of videos because I can see something and then see how to make application of it to my own life. So it's important for you to formulate. The first part of you being intentional is sit down with a piece of paper and a pencil. Not a pen, a pencil. And write down things that, at least 3 to 10 things that you can commit to accomplishing in the next 90 days. And then once you jot down those areas and you identify those areas, health and wellness, day-to-day, like how you take care of yourself. And then also when you take care of yourself, foods you eat, products you put on your body, clothing you wear. For me, to give you an understanding of being intentional for my space, on a personal level, I'm growing out my hair. My hair is actually natural and curly and coily, and I'm taking a break from all of that. And I'm in what I call my own era of wig life. So I'm gonna wear an assortment of wigs that I feel are fun, have a lot of color. Wintertime's a great time for me to do it, especially living in Florida. I get to just have some fun there instead of it being so hot and I just can't wear some of the wigs that I would enjoy wearing. So as opposed to me not having access to those wigs and going forward and wearing them, I get to wear them now. So I'm really focusing on taking care of my hair to grow it to a certain length. So my desirable length at this point is to get it to armpit length. So I'm just going to be proactively nursing and tending to my hair to aid it in its growth in the next 90 days. That's a personal goal, right? So you're like, what goes into that? Washing and deep conditioning every week. Because just because it's under a wig doesn't mean that it doesn't get tended to. The other component is skincare, making sure that my regimen for skincare is intact. For me, I want something that's not so cumbersome, basic, but yet very proactive, making sure I clear up my skin. Staying active, drinking a lot of water. Right now, because of the level of work that I do, being a field inspector, it requires me to be on my feet and to move around a lot. And my days are usually full and productive, so I don't necessarily need a gym membership because I definitely get all my walks in. The main thing there is making sure the foods I eat are enrich my body. So a lot of leafy greens, a lot of proteins such as chicken and smoked turkey, and also a lot of fruits and vegetables. Just making sure that I have an array of those types of things within my regimen. Another component for me on a personal level is growing and building my business. As I mentioned earlier, I'm in the field of field inspection, but I have my notary licensure, and so I want to be able to maximize that in my business component and find ways where I can be very successful in that space, particularly loan signing or general notarial services, apostille, and remote online services. So it's another area and another skill I have to learn. And so being a part of groups and classes and purchasing of classes and such to help me further understand and master those areas are essential. So those are some of my business goals, right? And then last but not least, it's actually dealing with my financial health. And the financial health ties into personal and business finance to make sure that I have processes in place that are more efficient. and I'm more, structured in that space. So that's me being intentional about how I plan on targeting 2025. And I know you may look at it and say, well, Lovo, that's a lot going on. That's why it's important to write it down. Write it down, give it categories, and then ascribe it to your daily day-to-day. Like, for example, I know I need to eat a healthy breakfast, so I need to start my day off with my being sound mentally, physically, spiritually, right? So spiritually, I get up early. I need to start my morning off early, preferably around 6 o'clock a.m. Force me the opportunity to pray, to be in my time of prayer and reading the word, and then transition onto making breakfast. So I have a sound breakfast going out the door. Also meal prepping, making sure I have meals to take throughout the week that I can consume throughout the week without having to apply pressure of having to come home and make a meal. So meal prepping is involved in that process. Another component could be where my schedule, making sure I schedule myself accordingly, making sure I have a certain process in place for how my workday flows, when I execute my assignments, times that I go to bed, times that I allocate for studying, all those things. But you may say that sounds like a mouthful, but you have a full day. You have a full day to really accomplish all these tasks. And if you work a 9 to 5, you still have a full day. If you are a parent and you don't have, you say, my children, by the time I come home, I have to help my kids with homework and stuff. I'll find some time for you that affords you, even on your lunch breaks at work, even on your breaks at work, that allows you to pour into yourself and be intentional about your goals. We can make up all the excuses in the world, but if you're not intentional and you do not formulate a game plan, if you're a parent or someone in that position, because I have no kids and I'm not married, so my time is really my time. I structure my time accordingly. But if you have other obligations, it's essential that you look at your life, your schedule, your goals, and then you start formulating, allocating time to the things you need to do. And even if you do them in little increments, as you go forward, start increasing them. So month 1, maybe you only can give, 15 minutes to, focusing on yourself, focusing on your goals in terms of starting your morning with a good workout. Maybe you can only give 30 minutes to the workout, right? Because you just don't have the allotted time right now. But as you move forward, start finding other pockets of time that where you can probably transition that 30-minute workout to a 45-minute workout or eventually an hour workout. Okay? Or you can tap into what you consume. Maybe right now you don't drink water. Now you want to be intentional about your water consumption. So now you can start removing all the juices and sodas from your regimen and start replacing those pockets with water consumption. So there's so many things you can do in increments. You just have to be intentional. And not just intentional, but consistent. The reason why I'm focusing on 90 days is to actually get something acclimated. The first 30 days of you doing something consistently becomes a habit. By day 60, you start fine-tuning that thing. You start finding areas of improvement. By days 90, you start really fine-tuning what you're doing, and now you get more progressive. Especially if you stay consistent, you document it, and you stay on top of it. So in this season of preparing for the end of the year, spending time with family and friends, do not neglect yourself in being intentional about closing out this year and starting next year with your goals already ongoing on autopilot, where you're committed to the things you've written down. And if you need to make some revisions or you need to go ahead and move the goalposts even higher than what you thought it was going to be, move forward. But in all things, do not stop, be persistent. And before you know it, you will be just where you desire to be. Thank you for taking time to listen to my video. Like and subscribe and join my tribe. It probably was a little scattered and all over the place a little bit, but I'm still new to this YouTube land and I'm still striving to grow and build. So I look forward to connecting with you on my next video. But in the meantime, between time, have a blessed and productive and safe week, day, year. In the meantime, bye.